Hey, got confused. So first, you need to have the idea of CSS Flexbox positioning. Then only you can understand this in a much better way. And let me tell you, in order to have a responsive web designs, you either need to have the knowledge of CSS grids or CSS Flexbox. So in this video, I'll be explaining you the CSS Flexbox positioning in an easy and fun way. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. And let me tell you one more thing. CSS Flexbox works only inside a container. So that's why we have a simple div where we have a body tag, and inside the body tag we have a single div with a class name as simply container. So in this case, our body tag will act as a parent container, and this div would be the child for our body tag or maybe the parent div. And I already have some styling like the background color. And what I did, I have the child container. I made it look like a square so that I want you to have the visualizations of the CSS Flexbox positioning. So first thing first, you need to use a property that is simply your display, and you need to have this as flex simply. So when you will have this display flex, now your body is flexbox. So this part that is visible on the screen now is a flexbox. And when we talk about positioning in flexbox, we have three main properties. The first is simply display flex. Then we have other two properties that is simply your justify content. So you can assume this property that is justify content to be your horizontal axis. Then we also have one more property that is simply your align item. So you can assume this as simply your vertical axis. And we only have three values for these properties. That is simply your flex start, then flex end, and then simply center. So these three properties will only have these three values. So we will see them one by one. First, let's have flex start for our justify content, and simply flex start for our align items as well. So for this, your child container, that is your div, will be at the top left, as we have flex start for this justify content as well as align items, right? Then let's keep our align items, that is our vertical axis, the same as flex start, and let us now change our horizontal axis, that is your justify content, one by one. So let's have it simply as center. So this time your child container, that is your square box, will be at the center horizontally, right? It means for the first property, that was initially with this values flex start, our child container is here in this position. So now let's say if I change this to, instead of this flex start, let's say I change this justify content value to simply center. So I have this flex start property for our align item, that is our vertical axis, and I change the value of this horizontal axis or maybe justify content to center. So this time your box will be, instead of here, your box will be at the horizontal center. See. So now let's say again, instead of this value center, now I am changing this value to flex end. And again, I have the same value for this align items. So this time again, your child container or the box will be here. So instead of center, flex end. So see. So now let's do one thing. Let's change the value of this vertical axis or align items to center instead of flex start. And again, for our justify content, simply flex start again. So this time your box will be simply, that is, center with respect to the vertical axis and flex start with respect to your horizontal axis, right? So let's say flex start, and here instead of flex start, simply center. So see. So now I hope you got idea how to center this div simply. So as I already have this vertical axis at the center, to simply center this. So see. And one more thing, to simply center your div in vertical axis, that is simply Flexbox needs the height, right? Height of the container. So that's why I have this height of the body 200 VH. So without this height, Flexbox will fail to identify the center at the vertical axis. You must have a height for your parent container so that Flexbox can center the div, right? Now I hope you got the idea of other values as well. So let's quickly have this. So let's say for align item center, instead of this flex start, let's say we have flex end. So this time your box will be simply here, center in vertical axis, and flex end, that is in the end for your horizontal part. Then again, let's say this time your align items would be simply flex end, and this justify content flex start. So it will be simply here. Then again for center, it will be here. Then at last, when both of this value will be flex end, it will be simply here at the bottom right. So let's quickly check that. So flex end, then again flex start, and your align items would be flex end. So see, bottom left, then again center again, then at last both of them to flex end. So see, so this way it works. So now I hope you have got a good idea of CSS Flexbox positioning in a much better way with these examples. So that's it for this video. See you all in the next one. Till then, take care.